Hey guys, Jonal here and welcome to a new episode of Meta Talk, the series where I cover meta strategies and tactics in Overwatch. If you're not familiar with this video series, then there's a link to the intro to it down in the description. Today we're taking a look at the dive comp, but before we start with that I just want to say sorry if my voice sounds a little bit weird or if there's any kind of staggering or stuff like that. And sorry for the video being a couple of days late. I would actually have wanted to post this maybe yesterday or the day before that again. But I'm sick right now, so it takes a lot of time off my school and I have to take that time back, and in general, so it's a kind of a problem. I'm trying to get back into shape as soon as possible, so I'm very sorry for that. But besides that, let's just jump right into it. Now the dive comp is a very aggressive team composition and play style, which goes on a lot of highly aggressive players. You need to be very aggressive on the enemy team, you can't be defensive with this, and it's also one of the hardest team composition to play against, especially if you're an uncoordinated team. Meaning that if you play a well successful dive comp with a couple of friends, maybe in duo queue or trio queue, and you get the randoms to join with you on this dive comp, a lot of time it can be highly effective and grant you an easy cap on stuff like a first point. Now, what is a dive comp? Well, a dive comp is in general looked upon as a high mobility team composition, meaning that some people would say that if you run like the King of the Hill meta that I covered, which is like Reinhardt, Zarya, Lucio, Ana, Genji, Tracer, if you run that team composition, some people would look at that as a dive comp. If you swap the Zarya out with like a D.Va or Winston, a lot of people will call it a dive comp. Now the dive comp that we're going to talk about is like the standard dive comp, which is a lot of time the most effective dive comp you can go with, and I'll try to lock as many heroes in like this hero you need, and there are some heroes in this dive comp that you actually need to make the tactics work. But as soon as I see that there's a hero that we either use sometimes or I see other teams use, I'll swap it out and mention that you can also use this hero. But in general, I will operate with the standard picks for this dive comp to make it work. Now also know that I'm not gonna focus too much on how to counter this. If I wanted that, then I would have to make another video about it, because or else it would just take too much space and too much time in general of this video. So with no further ado, let's look at the team. So what you want always to have a Winston and you want a good Genji. Those two are very important to have. Then you want a Zarya, which you can swap for a D.Va if you want a so-called heavy dive comp. But a lot of time a Zarya is very good to have. Then you want a Zenyatta, which can be an Ana, but a lot of time you want that extra damage because you're starting to lack a little bit of damage, and the Discord Orb and the Zenyatta shot in general can help a lot. So on top of that, you can put that healing up on something like a Genji without even having to have line of sight to heal him. You want a Lucio for the speed boost, and you really don't want to swap him out for anything. And then you have your main DPS, which you either want as a Widowmaker, a Pharah, or a Tracer. Which one of these three to pick I'll cover later in the video. Now, so this is how you in general play it out. So Winston, he dives in, so he uses leap onto the enemy team, tries to locate some of their 200 HP heroes and some of their like squishy targets and high value targets as a Soldier and Ana. He does that with a Zarya shield, so he does make sure that he doesn't get like just shut down before he can land, and then he gets a speed boost. It's very important that the Winston calls out the target, or the Genji is somehow paying attention to who the Winston is focusing on, because if not, then there won't be any coordination in the damage, and this can quickly turn out to a quick disaster because you won't be able to get in some of the kills fast enough. Now Zenyatta tries to discard of whoever the Winston and the Genji is targeting, or if not, there's someone in the general direction of that. And while the dive comp is fighting on top of some high ground or wherever they are fighting, Zarya, Zenyatta, and Lucio is pushing to the objective. So for example, if this was on Anubis, they would try to go straight onto the point. If it's a payload map, such as Dorado for example, they would just be on the payload, trying to push this payload and supporting the team as much as they can, because what will a lot of time happen, for example on Dorado, is when Winston and your team is just diving the high ground, a lot of time they try to drop down, which is very logical, but they don't do it coordinated. So for example, the McCree will just like combat roll off the edge and try to get on point. However, then he's meeting a high-shot Zarya, a Zenyatta that will Discord Orb him and a Lucio and probably get nuked down. Doing that, a lot of times you just drop down and you get a lot of extra kills because your main group, which is Zarya and just Zenyatta and your Lucio, is also doing damage and also racking up the skills, so you kind of trap them in between these two teams. Now communication in this is the key to victory. If you don't communicate, if you guys don't focus the same target and dive the same area, a lot of time it goes to hell, because a lot of time it's easy to nuke down the Winston. The Winston doesn't have enough damage to deal with all the targets alone. That's the reason he has the Genji and your main DPS. Now you can split your team into two groups, a dive team and a main group. So the dive team is the Winston, the Genji, and whoever is your main DPS. So let's take a little bit look at their roles. So the Winston's role is distraction, pressure and separating the enemy. Now what this means, the distraction is when he leaps onto, a lot of people would turn to the Winston and be like, kill the Winston, of course. On top of that, he puts pressure damage on some kind of squishy heroes, a soldier and I don't know what or not, and tries to deal with that as much as he can. And then he's also dropping his barrier, separating whoever he's targeting from healers, or if it's a healer, he's separating from DPSs and tanks, making it hard to work together as a team because they're separating by this barrier. Now Genji's job is kill securing and burst damage, so his job is in general just to support Winston with the lack of damage that he doesn't have, and swift striking and trying to kill secure as many of those squishy heroes as he can. Popping deflect, protecting him from hooks is always nice, but in general that's his job, just landing good shurikens, swift strike and melee combos and trying to get those rapid kills coming in. And Widowmaker's job is in general body shots. So what you want to do if you have a Widowmaker instead of a Pharaoh or Tracer, you want to land body shot, high burst damage. If you can land a headshot, if you're comfortable with a headshot on something like a squishy hero, sure, take that pick. But in general, you just want to land body shot on anything that you can land on. Hopefully the targets that your main group is attacking, but you want that consistent damage to help out your team, because 100 damage to the body is a lot of help. That's half the HP on something like a soldier, which makes it so much easier for the Genji and the Winston to kill him. If you have a Pharaoh instead of a Widowmaker, she also do this general high damage. She just flies around and tries to land much damage on the same targets that the Winston and the Genji is targeting, right? Doing this explosive high damage, harassing the enemy team, and doing the same as the Widowmakers will also do, zoning the enemy team. Both the Widowmaker and the Pharaoh are there for zoning, meaning that you are kind of denying an area, meaning that if the enemy team pushes there, they'll just get punished by either the Widowmaker or the Pharaoh, forcing them to not go to this area and limiting their area that they can push. And then something that is in general for the Pharaoh is that you also have her for the ultimate combo with the Zarya Graviton, because you will lack some, which I will talk about later, you will lack some kind of ultimate combos to chain, but the Graviton and the Barrage is an insane combo that can kill most shit. And then with Tracer, and Tracer is also there, you know, for the general high damage, not as much as the Widowmaker and as the Pharaoh, but still for the high damage and the harassment and kill securing together with Genji. And as well, she's also there for the ultimate with the Zarya with the Pulse-Long Graviton, which is also an insane combination of ultimates. Now then you see your main group, and what is your main group's job? Well, here you have the Zarya, the Zenyatta and the Lucio. So the Zarya's job is holding main group, shielding teammates, and killing stranglers. So the teammates or the enemy team that jumps down on the objective or tries to, or is too slow to fall back on something like a flatter map and your dive comp is like far up, her job is in general to help killing these targets and protecting your main group and doing whatever she needs to do to take the objective. Zenyatta's job is of course healing, dealing damage, which is very important because he deals a lot of damage, and discord ult on either the target that is close to the main group or targeting whoever is attacked by the dive comp. And then we have Lucio, and Lucio's job is of course speed boost, that's like one of his highest priority. Healing is of course also very nice, and he does some kind of damage, some kind of booping, harassing the enemy just jumping around there and helping pushing that payload or capturing that objective. Now even though that the dive comp is very highly aggressive, and the good thing about it is that a lot of time this happens that you dive the enemy team, if it for example is Numbani. The problem is on Numbani that a lot of teams hold like maybe 4 of their players on left side high ground, protecting that stairs, and then they put an Ana and a soldier on the right side, right? So if you push stairs, you get caught by the Ana and the soldier that won't be harassed. If you put straight up mid, you'll get caught in between both the right side and the left side of the enemy team, right? So you're kind of fucked anyway. But if you have a dive comp, you send up that Genji, you send up the Winston, and helps up with, for example, something like a Pharaoh Widowmaker, those are gonna die very quickly. It's a 2v2 or 2v3, and one of those are a healer. And the 4-man stack that is left by the enemy team can't do jack shit about it because they're not on that high ground. And this is the exact same way that you want it to be. You want to get those fast kills. You want to separate the enemy team. If it's Anubis, a lot of time, as I said, they will just jump down. But it's too late because they don't jump down coordinated. They don't make sure. The Reinhardt might just drop his shield and just run away. Then the Widowmaker can get picks on the squishy heroes or the tanks. And at the same time, you will a lot of time abandon low HP targets. There will be no coordination, and you just make chaos in the enemy lines. And it's very hard to counter because without a real system, a real plan, like if this happened, then we go to here and we push like that, and it's coordinated and trained in, then a lot of time you just get fucked over. And that is why the dive comp is so effective. However, there are some problems with using the dive comp. Now the first, if the enemy is actually good and can fall back, so when you leap onto that, you Winston, you Genji dives in, the enemy team just falls back into a more secure position. That's a big of a problem, right? Because if they have a lot of counters for example, for Winston, so they have, for example, Reaper, they have Hog, they have these like very steady damage characters, for example, triple tank and stuff like that. A lot of times then it can start being a problem, because then you're starting running a lot of heroes that is getting countered, and they're just facing so much damage, and they're just so unkillable compared to what you normally would see. And if you don't have a Pharaoh, you don't have a Tracer, you also lack ult combination. It sure is fine that on Anubis first point you might be able to easily cap that point with the Widowmaker and the Genji and Winston. Easy, right? You stomped them, they were not prepared, they tried to fall back and they got fucked. On second point, however, they are much more organized. It's much harder to find a separated target. They get faster respawn, and you don't have anything to really ult stack them back, right? You don't have any real combination. You have Graviton, Dragon Blade, but you have no Nano Boost, and then you have to fire both your DPS ults. You have to force that Dragon Blade out on something like a Graviton, which a lot of time you don't want to. So if you don't have Barrage and you don't have Pulse Bomb, a lot of time you're seeing lack of ult combination. You actually only have one high effective ult combination. You have two support ults that can save your ass, so if they Graviton you, you're probably safe, or if they ult stack you, you're probably safe. However, you are lacking DPS ult to combo with, which can sometimes be a problem. I hope that this video was enjoyable. Even though I am sick, I feel like I sound like a half-baked potato. However, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then press the like. If you disliked it, then dislike. Drop down in the comments if there's anything that you want to see, if there's anything you want to add or comment on. If you have any question or anything you want help with, I'm always here, guys. And subscribe if you want to see more video. It really helps out the channel. Thanks to everyone that has been subscribed lately. I'm fairly happy to see an increase in subscribers, even though it's like I'm 26 now, which is nothing on YouTube, but I'm pretty happy. So welcome to all of you lovely subscribers. I hope you guys enjoy the content. As always, guys, I'm Jonal, and keep the enemy in your crosshair.